in the Western media that the tone has changed quite a lot from the beginning, and there have been reports that have documented sexual aggression and assault against women, and the UN has come out and talked about it as well.
Did they receive the same coverage, the same time? Did they retract all of their lies that they said about the Palestinians, about what happened? No.
Do you not think the tone is changing, given the mounting death toll?
Slightly, but it is performative rage. Like the war leaders are so enraged about Israel killing the 7 workers. And we talk about that, but I find that there's more rage about killing 7 foreign workers more than the rage about killing 30,000 Palestinians.
I mean, look.
Remember when we
say that?
Remember when 30,000 was too much? Remember when 3,000 Palestinians was too much? Yeah. You know what happened? 3,000. Tomorrow, if 300,000 Palestinians killed, nobody will care. Nobody will care. Numbers don't mean anything.
Why
anymore.
Do you think that is?
Because they don't look at Palestinians as equal human beings.
We spoke to Queen Rania on this program several times. In fact, she was actually the first leader to come out and talk about double standards, and her interview with us was incredibly widely seen. And she said, similar to you, that there is a double standard in the way Palestinian suffering has always been reported and continues to be reported. It is really hard to hear you say and hear others say that they don't look at us as people.
Because they were deemed animals, terrorists, Hamas sympathizers. The thing is, Israel reminds me a lot with Trump. Remember when Trump was saying lie after lie, one atrocious thing after the other, and by the time people deal with this, he's already moved on, and people's like, all right, that's Donald Trump. Israel's doing the same. They're doing. Remember when we were out all the rage about like babies killed in incubators, then baby killed of hungers, and then people killed in stampede, and then it's old news now. Remember when we were talking about did Hamas or did Israel bomb the Al Ahli hospital, and since then Israel bombed 36 hospitals? It's just they move too fast, and by the time you just like catch up and you corner them, it's like, well, I'm entitled. Like if you talk about it, you're anti-Semitic. I'm doing this to protect myself. Here's the thing: every time Israel say like Israel have the right to defend itself, Israel had the right to exist, and I would say like Israel have the right to go f itself.
That's your stand-up. It's not your stand-up, actually.
It's not.
I want to ask you, though, about you and the Arab world. I mean, I think you will probably also agree that the Arab nations, frankly, have not done much to help the Palestinians over the decades since 1948. And on a different issue, you and I spoke before you were forced to leave in 2013. And you were feeling the heat because you were busy satirizing whoever needed to be satirized until it wasn't allowed anymore. I want to, replay this a little bit because you were facing charges of insulting the president and insulting Islam. That was Mohammed Morsi of the Muslim Brotherhood, who was actually democratically elected after the Arab Spring. This is what you told me then.
This is modern time Inquisition, where they hold people for their words and they use holy reasons to put them in jail. So I'm not worried because I have not done anything to insult my religion, which I'm proud of. And there are some people who want to make it as if it is a fight or a struggle between seculars and Muslims. This is not true.
I'm watching you leaning in, watching your younger
so young.
self. You were young.
I was so young. What
you
happened
were young.
to me?
It was life happened to you. So what was it like?
What
was it like starting over in America?
It was terrible.
Because you went from being #1 star
Into nobody.
Okay, into a nobody.
I was going to comedy clubs trying to make it there, and people not laughing, and it humiliates you, humbles you, and humiliates you at the same time. And it was a journey. Doing stand-up comedy in your second language, doing stand-up comedy in general is difficult. Doing it in your second language is even an added pressure. And I tell this everywhere. I remember my fans from Egypt would come to my stand-up comedy show, and they see me as, of course, I wasn't good. They were so disappointed. Like, oh, Bassem, he's going to drive an Uber in 6 months from now. He's done. So that kind of...
How did you learn? How did you rise above that and actually learn to do comedy in... I guess you do it in 2 languages now.
Yes.
Wherever you are.
I do it in... I do an English stand-up comedy tour. Sometimes I do it in a different stand-up comedy in Arabic. But how? Through a lot of failure. a lot of failure. You have to go through a lot of failure and humble yourself and accept that kind of failure.
And what do you think your audiences are getting from you now? If it's not the satire on the...
It's still a satire. No.
Yes, but what I mean on the events of the day that are just too difficult.
I think some of the best comedies are very personal. And the more personal the comedy is, the more actually people might it easier to relate to you as a person, as a human being. So they get a lot of people come from all over white people, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, people from Africa, people from the Middle East, people from America come to us like, I relate a lot to your story, even though it's a very unique story, but it's not that unique. But it's all about like the human struggle against expectations and how we can navigate that.
I've always noticed that your struggle is towards bringing people together. That's what I've noticed. And I want to ask you about a project that I read about, and I want to know if it's true. You bought the rights to a book. The book happens to be called The Muslim and the Jew. It's translated in English. It's written by a German author. And it tells the story of a group of Egyptians and Arabs who lived in Berlin, basically, and saved hundreds of Jews from the Holocaust.
Yes.
Tell me about the story and why you want to do this.
This is a story that I bought the right to a year ago, even before October 7th. And after October 7th, I actually bought the lifetime rights, not just the option for 2 years. And it's called The Muslim and Jew in Germany. It was translated to an English book called Anna and Dr. Helmi. And it talks about Dr. Helmi, an Egyptian doctor who lived in Berlin under Nazi Germany, and he formed a group of underground network with other Arabs and saved 300 Jews from the Holocaust. And I think it's a great story because the Holocaust is a human story, not just a Jewish story, and definitely not an Israeli story. And I think this is a way to show that in the end of the day, we are people and we have so much in common, and we should not use human tragedies. We not should use excuses of different ethnicities in order to inflict the same pain that was done upon us on other people, especially if those people had nothing to do with that tragedy. And I want to show that, like, even before the establishment of Israel, Arabs and Jews in Germany lived a life of harmony and cohabitation, and they were even closer together than the German Christians. And the Holocaust is a very important part of our contemporary history, and we have a role in it, like saving other people from there, and we're being erased. So as an Arab, I want to actually show our story, ourselves, and put us into the place where we actually have a say and a place in human history.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting that. Bassem Youssef, thank you. Just quickly tell me, you're going where next?
Oh my God. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So, in April 6th, I start in London, the Apollo. You're invited. And then I'm doing Paris, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Malmo, Oslo, Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, Zurich, Antwerp, Stockholm, London again, twice, Dublin, Copenhagen, Birmingham, the biggest theater of all of them, Manchester, and Paris again at the end. Got it!
Wow.
Got it!
Well, Bassem, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Now, Congress is broken, so say staffers and an unprecedented number of elected representatives who are quitting midterm. A recent survey by the nonprofit Congressional Management Foundation found that a large majority of senior staffers believe the legislative body is just not functioning, and the polarization and rhetoric are causing them to want to leave their jobs. Conservative political commentator Charlie Sykes joins Michelle Martin to discuss